Over 70% of the businesses in the UAE make the same costly mistakes. Mistakes that can cost time, money, freeze bank accounts, and lead to travel bans. In this video, I'll go through the top 11 mistakes that I've seen here in Dubai since I've been here for the last 11 years. And the last mistake that I've seen is one that people often do not talk about, well, do not see, but is the most dangerous one. So stay tuned till the end. Many entrepreneurs think that setting up a business in the UAE is just get a license and I'll figure everything else later. But the reality is quite different. You might end up not getting a bank account, not getting a visa, and your business might end up getting taxed in your home country. Fixing these mistakes later, often impossible. These mistakes usually require you to liquidate a company and start a new one, and you can't rectify anything post facto. Mistake number one that I often see people doing is that they get a free zone that is in a cheaper Northern Emirates and save $1,000 on the license, but create themselves a million problems down the line. Now, some of those problems that you might encounter is you can't open a business bank account because you have a free zone license that is considered in a less than whitelisted jurisdiction for the banks. They might be in a high risk list at the bank, and you might not be aware of that. And the other part of getting a free zone in a cheaper Emirates is that you may not get your UAE residency visa because you may have a passport that is from a high-risk country, and the Northern Emirates is a different immigration than the Dubai immigration, which makes the process way more complicated. For example, I have a case, a client of mine who's a Lebanese national, opened a Ajman free zone and could not get a license. The only mistake that he did was not coming to us to get the right advice, or not coming to any advisor that actually knows what they're talking about. And very simply, we had to liquidate his company and go get him a visa in a Dubai free zone. Not that complicated, and the difference in cost was only about 3,000 dirhams, but the difference in time was about 6 months. Mistake number two that I've seen countless times now is that people choose their office after incorporating their company. That's not the right way. I have a client of mine, he incorporated in the DMCC and he got a good business license, but he wanted to rent an office in Business Bay. That wasn't possible. Those two do not go together. You should first choose your physical office if you want them, and then afterwards go and incorporate in the zone where you can simply take that license and lease of that office. Mistake number three, it's about getting your business activities in a bundle and putting everything you have in one single license. For example, I have a client of mine, he's got marketing, he's got engineering, he's got real estate, all in one license. And when he came to open the business bank account, they asked him, fantastic, do you have your real estate approvals? Do you have your RERA certification? Do you have an office? Where are your employees? And because he wasn't able to answer those questions, he had to go and actually come to us and say, guys, can you please help me? Because my business bank account, it's been 6 months and it's still not opened. What we did was very simple. We reduced the amount of activities that he had, only to correspond to the invoices and the marketing, things that he was actually doing, and then afterwards open his business bank account within about 2 to 3 weeks. To avoid traps like this, subscribe. I'm going to be sharing real-life stories, solutions, and business cases about doing business in the UAE. Mistake number four is assuming that there is no tax in the UAE. That's not the case. Since June 2023, there is 9% corporate income tax in the UAE, and it does not matter in which zone you are. If you're in a free zone, if you're in a financial zone, if you're in an offshore, if the company is created in the UAE, it is eligible for corporate income tax. Now, that does not mean that you need to pay every time. There are still exemptions and you can still qualify for exemptions at 0%, but you still need to get the right advice and you need to do it in the right way. Currently, some of my clients, when they come to me and they say, listen, Peter, this is awesome. I love my free zone. I don't pay any tax and I don't have to. That's not the case. Free zone does not equal 0% corporate income tax. It's just not the case. So get your taxes sorted or consult with a professional. It's very important to do so. We are in 2025. Now, mistake number 5, assuming that if you have opened a company in the UAE, you don't need to pay any tax anywhere else now. That's not the case either. I'll give you a really good example that will put it in perspective, specifically for European clients. I have a client of mine, she's French, she's based out of France, and she opened a UAE company. She has some international clients, some local clients, but mainly most of her clients are in France, and so are her freelancers, and her personal residency, her fiscal residency is in France. Now, she opened a company in the UAE, and she thought, listen, great, I don't have to pay taxes in France anymore. But her company in the UAE did not have any substance, no employees, wasn't putting any office spaces, no physical space either, and that makes it quite simple for France to reclassify her business as a business that is French from a tax perspective, and that's exactly what happened to her. If she had created the right amount of documentation, but also had consulted with somebody before, they might have told her, listen, what you're doing is not going to work. You're the main manager, you're the main shareholder, and France is going to consider that for your tax purposes for the company and consider your UAE company a shell. And she ended up having to pay 33% corporate income tax plus penalties and fines on top of that. And it cost her so much headache that she closed down her business in the UAE and went back to France. Mistake number 6, no accounting from day one. Accounting is not optional. Accounting is now compulsory for all businesses in the UAE. Why? Well, first of all, you have the FTA. The FTA is the government authority, which is the authority that requires companies to pay taxes. And whether that's VAT or corporate income tax imposed on the company, the FTA is the government official department that takes care of all that, where you do the filing, where you're going to be talking to, and is going to audit you. If you have a tax authority, that means that you need to have a P&L and a balance sheet and a financial statement. Most probably it also means that you need to get audited. If you don't have a financial audit at the end of the year, you will end up having quite a few troubles with the FTA and the local free zones. From a free zone perspective, currently, all free zones are making all our clients sign a document that says, if the free zone requires a financial audit from the client, they will be able to provide it in 7 days. That's not a lot of time to do a financial audit. So you should always have your end of year financial audit ready. But to be able to do that, you need accounting. And if you don't have an accountant or a software or somebody else doing it professionally for you like a company, then you're in trouble. So get your accounting sorted and do it not only for taxes or for potential penalties, but just to know more about your business. Because I have clients who often, when we do their accounting, they look at me and they say, it's not possible. These numbers are not what I was thinking we were doing. And we have to prove to them, to their own business, that, well, actually, that's what the numbers say. And when you have good math, you have good numbers, you have better decisions. So get an accountant, do your accounting your own, but get everything ready because it's important for your business and it's also important for the government and the taxes here in the UAE. Mistake number 7 that I see from specifically European clients. Now, I know that in Europe, you can open a bank account, a business bank account quite simply and maybe in the matter of 2 to 3 days. But in the UAE, this is not the case. You have a lot of hurdles. It's quite difficult. And unless you have no risk, no passport risk, no activity risk in a super beautiful free zone, you will not open your bank account in less than 2 weeks. Now, of course, there are different solutions and there are different cases, but if you go to a traditional bank, it will take 3 to 6 months, at least. If you go to a neobank, it will take 2 to 4 weeks, but both don't have the same facilities. So I would just suggest to all my European people who want to set up here, please don't set yourself unrealistic expectations. It will take you 2 weeks to set up the company and 2 to 4 weeks after that to be operational and have a business bank account ready. We've been able to open a bank account in 48 hours, but it was an absolute record and has never happened since. The average time is about 2 weeks now with a neobank. And if you have really good connections, like we do, you can also have a personalized approach to a banking file from, for example, traditional bank and guarantee your bank account opening, even if you're a high-risk business. Mistake number 8, and this is following up on the banking problem. If you don't have a UAE residency as a shareholder and manager of your company, and you're alone in your company, but you didn't get yourself a visa, the chances of you opening a business bank account are very, very slim. 99% of the time it will not work. Why? Because you are considered a high-risk entity if you're not here locally, and when you want to opt for a new bank account, for example, it simply doesn't work without an Emirates ID. You can't pass the stage of application and submission, and they won't let you. So what are the solutions? Get yourself a UAE residency. It is the easiest residency to get. It costs only between $2,000 to $3,000 depending on the different free zones. Sometimes the free zones have offers. Get it. It will simplify your business banking life and your personal banking life. I really recommend to do it. Mistake number 9. Wrong free zone, no tax exemption. I'll give you a really good example. One of my clients has a mainland company and they do export-import. Export-import, if done well, can qualify for 0% corporate income tax. Now, the issue is he's in mainland, he's not in the free zone. He can't rent a warehouse in, for example, a designated zone, which is Javza, and that means that he can't qualify for 0% corporate income tax exemption. That is something that could have been very easily solved if he had come to somebody and actually asked for the right advice at the beginning. So, if you are looking at setting up an export-import, go get the right advice. Because also, free zone does not equal designated zone. That's a very specific amount of zones in the UAE. Now, mistake number 10 that I've seen here day in and day out, even with my existing clients that I try to educate to the maximum, is that people think that VAT doesn't apply to me. I don't have any invoices in country, so I don't need to do a VAT. I'm exempt. That's not the case. As soon as you have 375,000 dirhams of turnover, you have to register for VAT or you risk a fine. And I've seen many cases where, sure, when you invoice outside of the UAE, you're at 0 rated. It doesn't mean you're exempt, it means you're 0 rated. And that means that you need to have proper tax invoices and that you need to collect your VAT and that you also need to file it on a quarterly basis. There are very, very, very few companies that are exempt from actually registering for VAT. So talk to an advisor, find out what your situation is, and please get yourself registered. The FTA is not kidding. They are coming for everybody. Penalties, fines, and specifically because you now need to file taxes on a yearly basis from a corporate income tax perspective, they will see that you haven't done VAT and they will come for you. Number 11, one of the most dangerous and probably the most disregarded mistake that I've seen in Dubai. A lot of people set up businesses and then afterwards the business does not work and something happens with the company. They have their visa on that business and suddenly they decide to leave. Now, they leave, they go back home and they forget about the company that they had in the UAE previously. And I understand that. And maybe even, the cost of liquidating the company is not something that it can bear at the moment. But the problem is, when you're not liquidating your company in the right way, you don't close it in the right way, you don't cancel your visa, your immigration file, these fines for not closing, they start piling up. And basically what you are doing, but not closing your company, is that you are basically barring yourself the right to entry back into Dubai. Because from a travel perspective, an immigration perspective, everything is linked. And when it's linked from a immigration, FTA and free zone perspective, when you want to come back in country, you won't be able to unless you pay the fine. I've had a client, he forgot he had a company. Okay, he has a bunch of companies, but this one he really forgot. And they wouldn't let him in until he'd paid something like 15,000 dirhams plus about 5,000 dirhams of fines. Not a problem in terms of money, but about 4 hours at immigration at 2 a.m. in the morning, not fun. And he had the money. Some clients, I'm sure, when they want to come back here because, I don't know, they want to come on holiday, they can't. They just simply can't, and they will need to be sent back home. And that's a lot of money, time, and aspirations that are completely down the drain. So if you have a company and you have left, please check on the status of your company, the fines, and close that business in the right way so that you don't have any problems coming back to the UAE, which is a beautiful country for holiday or for work. What are the solutions and what are the things that you need to do to set up your business in the UAE in the right way. Number one, you want to choose your office first because that will determine the free zone in which you can incorporate. Number two, you don't want to jumble 15 activities all in one license. Choose only the ones relevant to you. Number three, you want to be able to plan your business banking and your incorporation at the same time and get somebody to help you on the compliance file for the bank. Number four, work with professionals. Get yourself the right advice. It's not that simple anymore, and it's not just about setting up anywhere. Get professionals to help you. Setting up in the UAE is probably the best and biggest operational move that you can do as a business. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to find ways to be efficient on taxes, find ways to be efficient from an international perspective, UAE is one of the most interesting places to be in right now. But doing it right is important. And if you want to learn more about how to set up your business in the UAE in the right way, subscribe to my channel, as I'll be talking exactly about that. Now, for those of you who might need some personalized advice and want to not be on an educational path, but just get a solution, I'm putting a link in the description below to book a discovery call with myself or one of my team members, after which you'll get exactly what I'll be talking about, some free advice. This is Peter from GCG. See you in the next episode.